Have you ever wondered why the concept of rule of law is considered the cornerstone of democracy? And yet, how is it that even the most democratic nations sometimes bend, ignore, or outright violate this very principle? Today, we are diving into the fascinating and controversial world of the Dicey Rule of Law. Before we begin, if you are curious about other legal principles that shape our everyday lives, make sure to visit my playlist for more engaging videos. Now, let's step back in time for a moment. Imagine this, it's the 1970s in India. Political tensions are high and the infamous emergency of 1975 is declared by the then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. During this time, fundamental rights were suspended and arbitrary arrest became the norm. The very people meant to uphold the law seemed to violate it. The rule of law was turned on its head. But was this an isolated case? Or is it the rule of law inherently vulnerable to manipulation? To understand this better, we turn to one of the foundational thinkers on this concept, Albert Van Dicey. Dicey famously outlined three key principles of the rule of law. First, supremacy of law. No one is above the law. 2. Equality before the law. Everyone is subject to the same law irrespective of status. 3. Predominance of legal spirit. Laws must not just exist on paper but be enforced in spirit by an independent judiciary. These principles sound ideal, don't they? But let's look at how they have played out in India. Case of A.D.M Jabalpur versus Shivkant Shukla, popularly known as habeas corpus case. This is one of the most controversial judgments in Indian legal history. The case arose during the emergency when citizens were detained without any justification. When the matter reached the Supreme Court, the majority of judges upheld the suspension of fundamental rights, including the right to life and liberty under Article 21 of the Constitution. Justice H.R. Khanna, the lone dissenter, declared that even in times of emergency, the rule of law cannot be abandoned. His dissent became iconic, but the majority judgment exposed a chilling reality. When power overrides principle, the rule of law can be compromised. Does this mean Dicey's vision is impractical? Let's explore further. The Vishaka's case of 1997. Fast forward 2 decades. In the Vishaka versus State of Rajasthan case, the Supreme Court created history by establishing guidelines to protect women against sexual harassment at the workplace. The absence of any statutory law on the subject at the time prompted the court to step in and fill the gap, ensuring justice was upheld. Here, the judiciary showed the predominance of legal spirit Dicey talked about. It was a moment where the rule of law triumphed, proving that it could be a force for good when applied with integrity. A more recent and polarizing example is the Ayodhya judgment. After decades of legal battles, the Supreme Court granted the disputed land to the Hindu parties, while also allotting alternative land to the Muslim parties. While the judgment aimed for balance, it sparked debates about whether the decision was based on law, equity, or socio-political considerations. This brings us to a crucial question. Is the rule of law always neutral, or does it bend under societal pressure? The rule of law faces significant challenges in India. First, inequality in access. While Dicey advocated for equality before the law, the reality is that the wealthy and powerful often have better access to legal resources. 2. Judicial delays. With over 4 crore pending cases in Indian courts, justice delayed often becomes justice denied. 3. Arbitrariness in law enforcement, be it custodial violence or misuse of preventive detention laws. Enforcement often deviates from the spirit of the law. But despite these challenges, there are reasons to remain optimistic. Landmark cases like Navdeep Singh Johar versus Union of India, which decriminalized homosexuality, show that the judiciary can rise to the occasion to uphold the rule of law. So, is Dicey's rule of law an idealistic dream? Perhaps, but it's also a dream worth striving for. It reminds us that no one, not even those in power, is above the law, and that the law must serve as a shield, not a sword. The rule of law isn't just a legal doctrine, it's a reflection of a collective commitment to justice, fairness, and equality. And while it may falter at times, it remains the foundation of any functioning democracy. If you found this video insightful, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Let's explore more such intriguing legal concepts together. Take care. Bye.